Welcome to the last of this short series on coding using web technology. We've looked at HTML and CSS to style our sheet. And basically what we're going to look at now is scripting. We're going to look at JavaScript to add some actions to our page. There are other web technologies, PHP, other things that go well with HTML code, but these are the three classics: HTML to write the page, CSS to style the page, and then a script to add some actions. So let's get started. You don't need to see this again, so I'm just going to get rid of my face and get cracking. So as before, we had our HTML page, which has everything on, and we divided it into sections here, which we then styled over on this page. So if I want to change the aqua to a more shocking red, there we go. We've just done that. Terrible page, but that's all the stuff there. Now, again, this isn't perfect by any means at the moment. We were just getting you started. So let's now have a look at this HTML page, and we're going to add some actions to it. So to do that, we're going to start up a brand new page, and we're going to call that script.js for JavaScript. And really there we've got the classic three names of web pages: the index, which is the page itself with HTML, the style sheet, which is style.css, and then the script. And very common trio to see. Now I'm going to write something in here which is alert with a speech with a bracket there, and then some speech marks because I'm going to write some text with hello world, a traditional kind of first example. Now I've put a semicolon at the end there to differentiate different lines of my JavaScript. And you can make notes by using in JavaScript. You can make notes in index and style and the script as well. And in your JavaScript, you do that with two forwards slashes, and then you give them notes, because you might be doing some stuff you want to refer to a couple of years down the road, and you want to kind of almost remind yourself what you were thinking. So at the moment, we've got nothing happening on the page, and that's because if I go to my index page, there was no link like there was to the style sheet. We have to reference where that is. So I'm going to do that, and it's just going to do it in this way, which is just script the tag, and I'm going to say source equals, and then use the speech mark to identify that it's the script.js. And then it's closed that there. And when I close my tag, it's closed the script. And there we go. Look at the top of the page there. It was an alert to say hello world. That was it. That was the script that I did. I press OK. Every time I reload this page, that alert is going to come up. There we go. So I've done it there, press OK. And every time I flick between one thing and the other, it's going to come up, because it's just that constant alert here. So I'm going to get rid of that alert, otherwise it's going to drive me insane as I go through that. And this time I'm going to have a look at a variable, something that will change. So before I wrote the word hello world, and I could have changed that wording, but this time I'm going to say var for variable, and then I'm going to say, just call this a test, variable test equals, in some speech marks, hello, and then world. I'm going to use that semicolon at the end, and then I'm going to say alert, and this time I'm going to call the variable that I'm going to call test in here, and then use those speech marks out. And you can see, because it's an alert, it keeps driving me insane here as I do that. But we can now change the text up here to just hello, and then that will just say there. So you might think, well, that's a longer way of doing what I did, but by having variables like this, we can call upon them and change them, so you can have all your variables at the start and not have to worry about searching through your code, and you can get the computer to change variables as well. It's a very useful thing to do. Now, most of the code that we're going to write is to do with maths, because if you're throwing a grenade in a computer program, doing Pong, it's got the ball going from everywhere you bounce it across the walls. It's mathematical. So here I'm just going to say var x equals 2 with my semicolon. Then I'm going to say var y equals 3. No need for the speech marks now, because we're dealing with values rather than text. And so here now I'm going to say, nothing's happening because I've not said to display anything, var maths equals x times, which is the star encoding with the colon afterwards. And there we go. Now, at the moment, that variable has happened, but there was no way of displaying it. So here I need to do my alert with there, and I'm going to say maths, and then it's going to do that. The number 6 has occurred inside what I'm doing. And yeah, we've got that there. I'm going to put my comma over it. It's doing what it said that it would do. Now, again, we've got different things that we can do with maths. For example, if I just get rid of these again, we can do random numbers, which is useful for gaming. So we would do var random equals. Now, the variable is random. I could have called that whatever it wanted to, but the code for that is math with a capital M. Remember, it's American, so math rather than maths, and then random. And then we put two brackets there with a colon afterwards to demonstrate that. And then we can have alert with my brackets. And then at the moment, all I've got is just an alert, because inside here, what do I need to do? Random. And now we have a random value. Now, random values in coding there will always give you a value between 0 and 1 and a decimal value. So if you want to make that a usable number, then one of the things that we're going to have to do for that, I'm just going to cut that rather than copy it so I can add it later. So we can actually say times 10 at the end here to give us a value that is, or gives you a number between 1 and 10 there. Sorry, 0 and 10 there. And as we've got there, 9.4, but again, not very usable. So what I need to do is maybe some other little things, and I'll start stopping after this. And I'm going to, at the beginning, I'm going to do another math with a capital M with a dot, and I'm going to do floor, as in go to the bottom and keep the what I just did there with the times 10 inside two brackets. So it's important there that that information was contained within two brackets. And this time, when I paste my alert, it's giving me a value. The only problem is that it's rounded down. So this is going to give me a value, because the most I'll get is 9.999999999, and that's going to always round down to 9. So at the moment, I've got 10 random values between 0 and 9. And that's not always useful. It is in some cases. So sometimes all I will do is stick a +1 after it there. And that's a very traditional way of getting a random number between 1 and 10, not 0 and 9, which is also 10 numbers. So a little bit geeky there, but there we go. Now you can add interactions as well. So here, let's do variable, which is a question. And we can say equals confirm. Now this is a slightly different action inside some curly brackets with some speech marks. Press a button. So let's confirm there. And I'm going to say press a button. And what we've got there is this. Before we just had an alert. Now we've got the OK and the cancel. And now I can press OK to get me further on than that. Now I'm going to copy in some code. Well, no, I'll just do the if anyway. And then we're going to press enter here. It's going to keep asking me, and I just press the enter key now to get rid of that, which is more useful. And now I'm going to use an if. What are the most powerful tools that we have at our disposal? And if we're saying if the question, and that's the variable that I just asked, saying confirm, is exactly true. So I need these two equals. There are differences between your equals and whether something is just a value equal to or it's a statement there. And this time I'm going to need some curly brackets that when I press enter will close my curly brackets afterwards, and keep pressing enter there to get rid of it. And this time, if that question is true, I'm going to do an alert saying you pressed, needed to have the speech marks in there. Okay, again, going to be slightly irritating. You pressed OK. Now, what we've got there is there's the alert. press a button. And if I press OK, it says you pressed OK. Brilliant. That looks like I've solved all my issues, except I put a question mark in here just to change it. If I press cancel, nothing happened. So that's good, but I had no alert to confirm that. So what I might do here is also add in, after my semicolon there, the else statement. Now we do that, nearly got it wrong there, after the curly brackets. So you've got your statement here contained with what happens if it's true between your curly brackets there. And if I press enter, we can now do the else. So if, and you can add quite a few ifs if you want, but at the moment now we're just getting to this point in time where we're getting our curly bracket and an enter to say else, what will that be? And this time I'm going to say an alert with a bracket in there and the speech mark, because I'm going to write some text. I said you pressed cancel. Oh, there we just get rid of that. The alerts being, just do it very quickly. You pressed cancel, otherwise it just keeps coming up. Okay, so we have the OKs, the cancels, all the semicolons that I need. So this time if I press cancel, I press cancel. So I've got those two different statements. So, you know, we've got things that we can do. If I wanted to do a guessing game based on all of that, I could start getting quite complex with my starting values. So if I go and just get rid of all of that, there we go. I've got a whole guessing game here. What's your name? Rory. Press OK. Hello, Rory. Do you want to play the game? OK. Good. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. OK. What am I thinking of? 7. Press OK. Too high. Guess again. So 7 was too high. 4. Too high. Guess again. 2. Too low. So maybe 3. Is the answer. There we go. So I've got a whole game there, and I could go through those variable. There's your guess, the answers. What am I thinking of? I've just put in a lot of prompts, a lot of alerts, and then if the number's equal to it, you've got it. If the number is too great, then the alert is too high. Guess again. And I've got lots of these things where guess was the code to bring it up. So we've got game starts, variable, and then all the things to bring up. So, you know, you can have a little scroll through that and have a look. I'm not going to get into all of that today, but you can say that you can start to add games. Now, other games you can start to do are actual physical games. You can actually have snake style games. You can have lots of games that are quite interactive and a little bit less text based than we have here. So, you know, that was just, again, a very brief introduction. Some people probably don't like the way I've done some other things. Again, that's something we can look at. But if, having looked at the HTML, the CSS and the JavaScript, you've thought, actually, do you know what? A lot of that made sense and I'd like to know more. We have mentioned that we got the courses, including the Introduction to Web Technology course coming up very shortly. Get yourself involved. It could be the start of a new journey for you. So yeah, thank you for watching. There I am to say goodbye. And I hope you enjoyed those very short 3 lessons. But get in contact with Digital Jersey if you want to know more. Bye for now.